close my eyes, evening dies, my brain rise up to the sunrise. Brand new day, new chance, something to say. If I can make a difference in this world, then I make it. So I must, so I trust. All my lyrics just get into this new day, like I was busting the nut. Who feels so good, positive? I'm on the own. Just got on the radio, it's a positive mood. It's something like just a perfect mood. Sonic waves glaze for days in the sunlight haze. I feel good to be alive. All this shit that beat me down the corners, I still survive. It ain't all complicated. I'm glad I found you. It's when you open your heart and us around you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Ain't That Right? I'm your host, Duncan Dad, and we've been away for a minute because still feeling the island vibes. I got back from our beautiful trip down to the islands. Everyone else is making their way, enjoying their summer vacations. Hope you guys are having a good time out there in the metaverse as well. The Phillies, little bump coming out of the gate after the All-Star break. Rebounded last night with a walk-off win on catcher's interference. Now, I've seen a lot of conflicting issues, a lot of conflicting stories about this. Ryan Spader, friend of the program, he came out and said it was like 1971. Someone tried to contradict him, saying it was 2010. Regardless, crazy way to win a game. First of all, not a huge fan of the Ghost Runner. It's not my jam. I don't feel it. I mean, I guess if you want to use it because it speeds up the game, we don't get these 15, 16, 22 inning games. Shout out to Cubs, Phillies, all that kind of good stuff. The Dodgers. I mean, like it's fun. Like baseball is fun. I did enjoy the All-Star game. I thought the home run swing off, sort of like a shootout in hockey, sort of like penalty kicks in soccer, football. Thought that was interesting, and I think that probably that's what's going to be worked in to kind of keep the game a little more relevant as we go through these dog days of summer. Because let's be honest, it's July, it's hot, it's starting to get humid, especially in the Northeast. It's like an oven, fire air across, the Midwest and the South. You need something to kind of bring you to the table to see these games. I remember going to the vet as a kid, and on the field it was like 112, 114 degrees on the field. And you sat inside those bowls, and it just sucked in all of the heat, all the humidity, all the moisture. And it wasn't a pleasant experience the way that we see baseball games nowadays today, because they make the arenas, they make the stadiums, make the fields really conducive for the fan to be there. And it's all about an experience. More so, we're on the same level as actually going to the game. All right, cool. That's awesome. It's business. Speaking of business, we had a big article drop in the area about Joel Embiid, drumming up a little bit of, empathy, sympathy. And listen, I will give everyone their due. I will give everyone a pass, second chances. I'll feed into what their problem is and sort of placate sometimes. But let's be honest, right? Like, there's a lot of missed potential in this guy. Now, people are chatting at me on, X, chatting at me on the Threads, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. They're like, oh, he was an MVP when he's healthy. He plays. Well, that's the problem, right? The problem is being healthy and being consistently healthy. And then when you are doing what you're good at, right? Like, he wants to be a point guard sometimes in a big frame. And this isn't a trash Joel Embiid day, because obviously, he's your main piece on the Sixers right now with Maxey, with the young kid they just drafted. Hopefully McCann comes back and he's good. But as these guys progress, as their career starts to come to an end, you start to see where, especially in the NBA, they want the paycheck for the time served and the time committed, which is understandable. But unlike the yesteryears, basketball, football, baseball, etc., the wear and tear on these guys is way more. It's way more. They're running harder, running farther, running faster, getting hit harder. It's really adjusted to be commensurate for what's going on and what's happening. But yet at the same time, as an organization, like, you can't sell yourself out completely. I had a conversation the other day with one of my friends. We were out golfing, and we were like, there comes times where you want to sign a guy, but the market has driven it so far out of your price range that It's just not good economic business. On the other hand, when you have an opportunity to get out ahead of that, like Howie Roseman does sometimes, you see this anticipating and you roll the dice and take the chance on this, giving yourself, good manageable contracts, good manageable boundaries to play within, so you're not messing things up for the future, because no one wants to trade away talent. But in today's day and age, come on, guys, like, you need to strike while the iron is hot. You can't just sit there and lollygag or, oh, we'll wait till next year. And the Phillies, right, over the shoulder, like, they're a perfect example of this. Couple World Series appearances, not really getting over the hump. Maybe they need a guy. Should we get a guy? I don't know about the guy. And the next thing you know, you look up and all the valuable assets, and you're going to have to pay for them, are gone off the table. They went out and they re-signed David Robertson. Love David. Like, Dave, good guy. Robertson's a good guy. Not what you need as your premier closer. And the whole Alvarado thing, that's a whole other issue about, him taking away from the team and then the team getting handcuffed, and the fact that, well, after your suspension or you come back, you can pitch, but by the way, you can't pitch in the postseason. I don't think that's like, national Philly hate or whatever, but I'm gonna keep saying it. You have to be able to anticipate those needs. And then if you can't anticipate those needs, then you're going to pay a premium for it, right? We try to do this in our life, right? Life, sports, and everything in between. Important perspective, shout out, no filter. You have to sort of anticipate these things. Like, you save up a little bit for vacation. You save up for maybe something you want to buy. You want to go someplace. That's all fine. But anticipating not only those logistical everyday needs in your life, but like, what's coming ahead. Okay, I'm going to act like this. This is going to happen. Maybe I need to be more proactive over here in this particular area of my life in order to compensate, in order to lay like the foundation for what's going to happen later on, or what I perceive could happen, right? It's like you sit there on the golf course, you line up and you're like, all right, listen, if I put my approach shot, middle left of the fairway, that's going to give me a better shot into, the green. And what happens, right? You're center right, you're off on the fringe, you wind up in the rough, sand traps all day. And you got to correct, right? But at that moment, like, you've already gone through these scenarios in your head, right? You've already seen, okay, well, if this batter goes down, if this linebacker goes down, if this receiver, like, football teams do this all the time, you can plug and play a lot, but at what cost is it going to be to you, right? At what percentage are you going to have to be like, okay, guess what? Now I need to course correct, and now I need to go ahead and adjust, or I need to reach back into my reserve and maybe pull out XYZ tool. Life, organizations, relationships, career, whatever it is that you do, you're always staying on top of things. Like, you're always reaching out. I have this bad habit sometimes of constantly wanting to engage individuals, and just because, one, I was outgoing, whatever person, but at the same time, usually after a couple bits of conversation, you start to find these laterals, you find these verticals. Like, oh, wait a minute, you do X, Y, and Z. I know someone who does it, or I do it myself, or they do it, blah, 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 blah. 6 degrees of separation, totally real. Today's day and age, again, a lot closer than that, because we're so interconnected nowadays. So, like, being aware of that interconnectivity, you have to really be on top of yourself and on top of your game. It's not saying you can't shut it down, take a break. We do it all the time, but you need to be really aware. And if you don't want to have that engagement, then try to put yourself in those positions that feed that, right? Like, we're all about setting ourselves up for success and setting ourselves up for the next move. But so many times we omit I need to recoup, I need to rejuvenate, I need to have things in place the best I can, and then just be fine with saying, all right, I'm going to throw this out into the ether. I'm going to shut down over here for a second, and things will keep going on, which is why you're building these priority principles and practices, so that when you re-enter the race, right, when you get back in the game after your 30-second throw, after your cooling break, right, FIFA? Right after your cooling break, you pick right back up, or as close to right back up to where you were. Like, great philosophy, great in principle. In reality, does it happen? Sometimes. But a lot of times what happens, you've got all these other variables. You have all these other things that come up. And why does it come up? Well, it comes up because that's how life is. So what do you have in your toolbox? What do you have at your side? What is your resources? Who's the circle that's around you that is insulating or helping or assisting you on this, discovery, on this journey, on this life's mission? Because doing it by yourself is great. You have a lot of control. You have a lot of ability to sort of really lay out the things that you want to do personally for you. But at some point, you're going to have to go outside of that. And like we talked before, your practices, your principles, your priorities, your revenue, your loss, your reserves are not going to be completely equal to everyone outside. Why? Because that's you, that's your personal story. You try to share this with one or two people, those intimate, close relationships. Maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's a spouse. But they have their stuff that's going on too. So what are you doing for the behind the scenes work? Right? Like, we always see what people are doing on the outside. Oh, he built this, he built that, he's going there, he's talking to that person, yada, yada, yada. All right, that's cool. But what are you really doing behind the scenes? Because what you do behind the scenes, that's what's projected out on the outside. But, oh, no, it's not. No, it is. Like, it really is. Like, if you're grinding, you're hustling, you're studying, you're working, you're showing up, you're being accountable, you're being, wholesome, truthful, honest, loyal, like, that shows up in your public persona without you having to draw any attention to it. Right? Draw attention to yourself. Draw attention to yourself in a good way, not a bad way. Shout out to Wedding Crashers. Just had their 20th anniversary. It was back July 12th, July 14th, something like that. Great movie. Some of these things you could not do in the modern world when it comes to movies. And I think it's just because we were, in some ways, a little more immature. We were a little less aggressive as individuals. We weren't as soft sometimes. And being soft is not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. Like, you have to walk around and be hard ass and, I don't care about that. And, it is what it is. Like, we get it. But being able to laugh at yourself, being able to make fun of your follies, right? Being able to point out certain trends and circumstances, fads, whatever it is. It's fun. It's fun. Why? Because you're not taking life so serious. Should you take life serious? Of course you should, right? This is like, Murphy button moment, slam, whatever. Of course you do that. Come on. We've got our responsibilities. We have the things that keep us going. You don't want to offend anybody in a purposeful way. And I think that's where we lose a lot of the joke and the gist, right? It's the intention. I had a conversation with my little ones a little bit ago about using words and the power of words and putting out what you want to receive, and specifically like speaking about yourself. I mean, I'll self-critical a lot because I feel as if there's a lot of intuitiveness going on, and instead of seeing the good things all of the time, we tend to see people and we try to find like the little little clink in the armor, right? The chink in the armor. And it makes us feel better when we see something that is relatable, or we see something that isn't completely perfect because, well, I could be like that, or that could be me, or it draws a little parallel for us, and we give ourselves, empathy in those situations. But getting back to the power of words, the kids are talking, running their mouths, blah, 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 blah. And they're getting older now, and you start to hear, the curse words. Oh my gosh, the curse words. And I do my best not to throw them around. Does it come out in conversation on the golf course? Does it come out if I get really excitable? Yeah, sure it does. When I get upset about something, for sure. I'm still going to set up the camera this year and do like the drive into work or the drive into the city. Just record and let's just see what happens. It's funny, it's hysterical, it's sometimes crazy, hectic, and dangerous. I guarantee, I'll plead the fifth and I can't self-incriminate. But the driving sometimes, I grew up in a different time, so I don't necessarily. Let's just say a Jersey roll or California roll is not the sushi that you eat all the time. You know what I mean? If you're out there, you know. Yep, I see. I see you. Yep, Jersey roll, California roll, stuff. Yeah, you guys know what it means, right? Like you've got to be able to navigate a little bit in that gray area, and so many times we want it to be black and white. Why? Because we don't like the unknown. You're supposed to like make the unknown your friend, make fear your friend. Why? Because like in that unknownness, you find a little bit more of yourself. How would you react in that situation? I don't know. Well, here it is. But I'm not prepared for that. Well, now you are. You and we and all of us have the pride of practice, pride of principles, disciplines, routine, da-da-da-da-da. But boom, here's the monkey wrench. What do you do? How do you flip this? Tying it into the words thing and the curse words, whatever. If those words, any of those words, would have been uttered from my lips back in the early to mid 80s, I would have gotten a backhand. I would have gotten a mouthful of dish soap. I would have gotten vinegar. Just like it was addressed and handled a lot different. That is my example. So now when I hear this, my ears go up and I'm take that pause because I'm like, whoa. Let's talk about this. And instead of yelling and trying to be what my example was, it turned into more of a information session, like a little Q&A. And I feel as if you can get a lot from an individual, small person, big person, middle person, doesn't matter, when you allow them to tell you how they interpret something, how they infer something, why they do X, Y, and Z. And you'll find in that process, and this was part of our negotiation training, you will find in that process where it is something resonates. What is the actual factor and meaning behind how an individual is responding or acting out or lashing out or crying for help or not crying for help. And we do a lot of this in our daily lives, but we hear and don't listen, right? Because the activity of listening and understanding why particular words are said, when you use them, the inflection in the words, the purposefulness of the word, the metered timing of the word, how quickly they reply, right? Someone usually, how you doing? You like this, blah, blah. They love it. They're excited. You hear it in their voice. They're excited. They have a joy about it. They have a charisma that comes with the words. Something's going on. It's okay. It's all right. No big deal. How things going? It's the same old stuff every day. Okay. So you hear in that tone that somewhere something is missing, something is lacking, something is too much, something's overwhelming, something is fantastic, something is great, something resonates with love and hope and feeling and positivity. So I ask, why are you saying these words? Oh, everyone says it. Okay. All right. So this is what, right? I think it's in the conversation. Well, if everyone jump off the bridge, we jump off the bridge, and then you get the smart ass response. I would jump off the bridge. Like, okay, we know you jump off the bridge, but metaphorically, why is it that you are committing to something? Why is it that you are doing something? We a lot of times get ourselves into these conundrums, these life choices, our battles, our discipline, our routine, dilemmas, relationships, career paths, and we just reserve ourselves to the fact that, okay, this decision was made, this is how it's going to be, And I don't need to really invest that particular part of the experience or journey anymore. Oh, I've been with this person since, 1974. All right, cool. Like, are you happy? Are you content? Are you, nurturing this? Are you feeding it? What is it that's continuing to drive X, Y, and Z? Are you reinventing yourself with the business? Have you seen a need and try to fill a need? Are you trying to recreate yourself so you're a better asset to pick an endeavor? Life, sports, everything in between, relationships, entertainment, music, media, like what do you need to do? And we're finding in that consistency more and more in our choices. You'll see if it's a valuable bit of consistency, or you'll see if it is a bit of consistency that needs to be altered and changed because it's become stagnant, it's become volatile, it's become a place where there is no opportunity for growth. A lot of times you talk to people like, oh, I went in and saw my boss and they were like, you're a great worker. It's absolutely amazing. So glad you're here. You're the best thing since sliced bread. And you're like, oh, it's just amazing. Like, I feel like we're on the same page and I'd like to take on, some more responsibility and da, da, da. And they're like, well, we like what you're doing. Okay, so can you expand on that? Okay, I hear you. I hear you. But then you go back into your little writer's garage, your writer's room. Shout out to the great Howard Chapin. God rest his soul. Dreams Go By. It's a great song. Go and listen to it, and it really ties into what we're talking about today. We set out on this journey with all of these hopes, all of these aspirations, all of these dreams, and then life sort of interjects. Responsibilities interject. And I guess the best thing that I would say is that try to be in as much control of the responsibilities that you bring to your table. Right? This isn't saying you be selfish. This isn't saying that, you can't help someone. This isn't saying that you shouldn't aspire to be, any more or any less. But what you're bringing in is added onto your plate, right? It's not taking away. And if you're going to add something, you need something or someone or an outlet or one of your priority practices that sort of levels that approach, right? Because you can't do it alone. Go it alone. It was a Grey's Anatomy episode about that. All for none, nothing. Like, it's you need this particular base, this particular group, this particular person around you. Someone who hopefully lightens your load, you lighten their load. And it's not the load of, I want to say our regularities, right? Like our bills, our finances. Like, of course, there's ups and downs with that. And you don't want to put yourself hopefully in a position where you are making those particular aspects of your life more difficult to handle. And this isn't a shade or shutdown on anybody who, finds himself in hard times, blah, 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 blah. This is just you are willing to go into anything, career, relocation, changing a job, with, your eyes wide open. I mean, I had a heck of a time adjusting when I went like below the Mason-Dixon line. And I found that I was just continuing to stay true to my Northeast. This was many, many moons ago. But at the same time, you're bringing a little bit of flavor that necessarily people haven't seen, heard, whatnot. So that's a valuable asset. Instead of it being a detractor, you lean on those things. Like leaning on the differences is what really makes everything great about the world, right? If we walked outside and everything was just, Italian restaurants and pizza shops and hoagie shops or Wawas, you'd get bored, right? No variety. This isn't saying that you live on the other end where it's variety every day, right? A variety showcase, right? This isn't the Gong Show. We're not doing that. Monty Hall's not coming out. We're not making a deal for, what's behind curtain number 3, and it's a rusted out car with, ducks and chickens in it, right? Like, maybe that's your thing. Enjoy. But the point is, living on those extremes can't be done. Mitigate a little bit of responsibility when you go into any sort of venture, knowing that you're going to take on X, Y, and Z. And like we talked about earlier, the baseball teams and the football teams project out. Well, what if this happens? What if this comes up? What if, why? And you're not living in Debbie Downer land. Shout out to Debbie Downer, right? Like, not Debbie Dallas, right? That's a whole other thing. Laugh at ourselves, people. Laugh at our things. You're not trying to be negative and pessimistic, right? There's definitely a lot of negativity and there's a lot of pessimism that exists, but you're being forward thinking. You're anticipating potential needs. You're anticipating potential bumps in the road. That's good, which is why it's all that more important to effectively communicate with those people or the people in your career what's going on and what's happening, right? Go back 4 or 5 episodes, we talked about this, like that the need for active communication. Hey, I really like when you do X, Y, and Z. This kind of, throws me for a loop. Okay, why'd you say the word? Why did it throw you for a loop? A lot of times we get to that point in conversation and it's like, oh, everyone's doing it. Oh, it throws me for a loop. I feel bad. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Period. And then you stare there. You sit there in silence, never actually getting to the heart of the matter. Snowball, snowball, snowball. And then eventually what happens? We talked about this before. A third party, Mr. Universe, Mrs. Universe, will always find a way to interject. Why? Because that's life. That's how it goes. Keep going down positive road, positive things are going to happen. Keep going down negative road, negative things are going to happen. You don't open and share anything, it's going to blow up. You share everything, it's going to blow up. You got to find the sweet spot. Right? You've got to find that healthy balance of it. And if you're the type of individual that isn't empathetic, is overly sympathetic, is self-righteous, but yet self-critical, like, make note of these things. One of the best things that was ever told to me, was that we have wants, we have desires, we have aspirations. Not killing your dreams, folks. Not killing your dreams. But if you sit down and you honestly, truthfully, hopefully say, and make a list, whatever you just want to do, what am I really good at? And what do I think I'm good at? Right? Because we make up a lot of insulation for ourselves. Because ego is a powerful thing. I'm a great dad. I'm a great mom. I'm a great partner. I'm a great boyfriend, blah, blah. Okay, maybe you are. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're just telling yourselves in the hopes that putting that out there in the universe, it will eventually happen. But if on the backside you're not doing jack squat to make it any better, or you keep making it worse, counterproductive. Like, you're defeating your entire purpose. Why? Because that's just what we do sometimes, which is why it's important with who you're aligning yourself with. So when people see that in you, they're like, hey, what's going on? I'm just kind of feeling out of it. Well, tell me why you're feeling out of it. I don't know. Just, things, lots of stuff piling up. Oh, okay. Like, what things? Like, you've got to be willing to have that extra conversation, but not only with other people, but with yourself. That's the hardest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is sit there and be like, you know what, listen, I didn't anticipate that I might need extra money for X, Y, and Z. I didn't anticipate the time that I need to actually complete this, because I didn't anticipate that maybe the other individual is having a bad day. And I'm the one today that has to be the smiley, happy, cheery, placey person. Why? Because people are going to have bad days. People are going to have good days. Life is active. Life is 100% active. And even if you're completely introverted and you are living your best life, don't really want to, deal with individuals, that is completely fine. But I guarantee you that you probably know a lot more about yourself and what affects and effects you. You just do. Why? Because you spend a lot of time in self-thought. You spend a lot of time looking, analyzing, doing the logic, X, Y, Z. Okay, But now, when you come to a point, when you come to that crossroad, and you've got to make a decision, you have to do something. You got to be willing to go back to that list, to that time, look at it and say, hey, you know what? I need to be a little less of this and maybe a little more of that. You're not changing who you are, right? You're always going to be you, but you're evolving. You're growing. You're becoming more self-aware. So in a sense, are you changing? Yeah. But it's not the, I'm a smoker, cold turkey. Oh, you don't like to go outside and talk to people, like, get outside right now. Like, that's a shock to anybody's system. That's completely counterintuitive. You shut down like a little spigot running outside on a hot summer day when there's no water because the well run dry. Like, you're not getting nothing, right? Getting blood from a stone, right? Let's throw the old euphemisms in and all the fine little quips. It's a journey. It's a process. Priority practices, principles, disciplines, self-evaluation, self-realization, what you're good at and what you're actually good at, where are your deficiencies. We all know our deficiencies. Everybody knows our deficiencies. People say they don't, they all do. Right? Hotel California, right? We're all prisoners here of our own devices. You can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. In those 3 sentences, in that one verse, you're being told, just like you're reminded every single day, you're held accountable for all of your actions. Might not reach a third party, but for yourself, it will. It'll always reach for yourself. And then you can sit there and you can justify. You can sit there and you can barter with yourself. But then you start getting these close, intimate people in your circle, and now it's affecting that. Okay. Is there time to, course correct? Is there time to reroute? Okay, maybe not. But now that's affected this over here. It's affected that over there. Now we got more work. Now we got more responsibility. So yeah, I guess I shouldn't talk to anybody. I guess I should just live in a corner and hide under a rock, and I'll deal with it when I gotta deal with it. Yes, no, maybe. Find the balance. Find the balance for you. I always say that you can't live on extremes, right? You can't go too far to the left. You can't go too far to the right. Why? Because you can visit them. You can have a couple little, convictions or a couple little, passions about something. It's fantastic. But to constantly exist on those extremes, no good. And why is it no good? Because in the middle, you're trying to figure stuff out. You're trying to be a valuable asset to yourself, to everyone around you, and whatever you choose to do. Doesn't mean you don't acknowledge it. You don't look at it. You don't understand it. You don't have empathy. You don't have sympathy for it. You do. You do. But understanding is key. And you're not going to understand crap unless you understand how it is that you work. Right? So you're figuring out that you're a prisoner of your own devices. What you lay, the road work that you put out, that's what you're going to get back in turn. Right? Those are nature. It's like it's a law of nature. Right? So you can continue to live there and live there and live there. Or you can be like, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm leaving. You ask an alcoholic, right? It's like, I stopped drinking. Okay, cool. That still doesn't, it doesn't absolve you from being an alcoholic. Someone smokes, but it doesn't absolve you from being a smoker, because there's all of these things that come along with that. Right? I'm a high intense type A individual, thrill seeker. Yeah, but I've kind of shut down that stuff, and right, I don't skydive anymore. I don't do extreme races anymore. It took wear and tear and toll on the body. But you're still that person. You're still that person. And people feel like, oh, well, that was done. That door's closed. Now you're like this. Case in point, right? You have individuals who get up in years, and their body, because of the wear and tear, the use after decades, half centuries sometimes doing stuff, they're not able to perform and do what they want to do. And we're not talking about Blue Chew. We're not talking about Hims. We're not talking about Roe. We're not talking about any of that crap, people. We're talking the things that were their priority practices that drove them, that held them accountable to themselves and to other people, gave them value and gave them worth. And now, because of the limitations physically and or mentally, it weighs with them. That doesn't mean they're not a carpenter. That doesn't mean they're not a painter. It doesn't mean they're not a chef. It doesn't mean they're not a personality. They are. That'll never go away. Right? Like you're staying and living in that moment. But again, ticking on the extremes, right? Like my adventure extreme is way less than my partner's adventure extreme. Right? Like I forced myself to go outside of my comfort zone to be there and engage and involve myself. Why? Because the relationship is valuable and I feel safe. So I trust it. I put a little of myself aside. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to go do this. It makes me a better person. Am I scared? Damn right I'm scared. Does it freak me out? Of course it freaks me out. Why? That's not who I am. So my extreme parallel, my extreme scale, is like kind of over here. Like, a little more on the conservative side. So my metrics are different than her metrics. My metrics are different than your metrics. And that's cool. But when you get to those red lines, when you get to the apex, when you're, flatlining the car and RPMs ran, like you can only sustain that for so long. It's it's I don't want to keep saying like it's a law of nature, but like it's a fact of life. You can only go so big, so hard, so long, so strong, so engaged till finally you shut down. And on the other end, you sit around like a lump on a log, you don't do anything. That catches up in other ways. So again, finding that happy medium, but your happy medium is different than mine. So anytime you see these diagrams, these legends, whatever, it's like, oh, you should be here. Listen, it's a good footnote. It's a very good reference point. But for you, for me, it's all different. However, disclaimer notice, the things usually at the top and the bottom of those metrics and those legends and those lists and those graphics, like you should probably stay away from them. Like there's a reason why it says, content's under pressure, right? It's not always inferred, right? There's a reason why people will, recall the water bottles because they don't understand that if you cap it off and put it in the car and it gets hot, that pressure's got to go somewhere. Contents may be hot in my coffee cup. Well, no crap, buddy. But maybe someone likes that. I mean, I've gotten coffee recently and it's been like literal, and this is figurative, people, like gates of hell hot. Like to a point where it's not enjoyable to have it. I'm not saying I don't want it hot. I'm not saying I want it lukewarm. But like close to 200 degrees, like, come on, man. Like it's got to go in my mouth. I got to drink it. The same way if you go and get a fountain soda or a pop for my Midwesterners out there, you don't want to be flat, right? And again, you got ice preferences, right? There's the flat pieces, kind of like, I feel like it's lazy, Then you got like the slushy kind of ones. Then you get those perfectly little round, they look like little barrels. You just tape it like that. To me is like the most perfect ice that you could put in a soft drink. See, we found commonality. Yes, Colorado, we found commonality, right? You say pop, I say soda. Let's just call it a soft drink. We won't even get into the Coke thing. That's a whole other debate for a whole other day. But again, that's the beauty of it, right? You go out and it's like, give me Coke. What's Coke? Coke could be anything. Just give me Coke. Shout out to Coca-Cola, right? Hopefully they do take out the fructose stuff or whatever, and they go ahead and use the real cane sugar on vacation. Yeah. We actually had a couple of those little bottles, the cane sugar ones, because we were not in the States. And man, like refreshing sort of throwback kind of flavor. So maybe flavor goes up and it's better for you. It's a win-win. Sometimes like the cost, I get that, but if we've learned anything, you have something that people want, people will pay for it. Just like a relationship. If you have something, you offer something to that individual, people will hang around. People will include you. You have assets for a particular job, you will be retained. Unless, of course, you go to one of these little red dots and they're like, hey, tried, can't anymore, not really good. Why? Because it's not jiving with their party practice and prior principles. They don't feel safe. They don't feel loved. They don't feel secure. They don't feel the ability to open up and share their life's responsibilities or their life's meanings with you. Okay, well, that's kind of rough to take, but what did you do to get there? Just like at work, like, my review sucked. I don't know why. My boss is a beep hole, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, like, show me what you did in reality as opposed to what you thought you did. Right? We make fun of these guys all the time, right? I know everybody does. You start driving down a highway, they're running construction. Everybody hates the fact that there's construction anyway. And you're like, why are you doing it in the middle of the day? Why are you doing it by rush hour? Like we've all had that angst, right? And then you see the guy standing there, the lady standing there, they got the little flag. And you're like, you're sitting out here doing what? Complaining you had a bad day and a hard day? And listen, slow down, break for the orange. Too many individuals across the highways and byways of the United States making our lives go back and forth, ensuring the infrastructure of this country, because we do make things roll in this country. Slow down. I mean, I'm guilty of not doing it at times, but they got a value. But the guy's out there and he's waving his little flag. She's waving her little flag, and then the dude's over here like digging a ditch. They get back and it's like, rough day. Hate it so hard today. Now again, on their scale, on their parallel, on their metric, maybe it was a bad day for them. But to everyone else, you're like, really? Like, what were you doing? And again, we have this perception. That's what we do. We look at stuff, we perceive how it is in our own mind based on our experiences, based on our priority principles, and then we superimpose this evaluation, right? Without actually going down that road, right? I'm all fine for people having standards. Totally cool. Totally agree. A lot of truth, though, in the fact, like, you'll never know what's going on with someone until you walk a mile in their shoes. Figuratively, literally. That's sitting down and allowing them to peel back the layers. But you got to be willing to do it on both sides. Because so many times we start these endeavors, start these conversations, start these relationships, start these careers, and gangbusters out of the door. Fantastic. And then all the little stuff. Oh, said a poopy word, right? Sorry, girls. All that stuff comes in. And then when it starts coming, it's not only a singular problem or a singular issue or a matter of attention that needs to be there. It's everything that's attached to that. There's a level of interconnectivity that we have in this world that you would think it would be present due to the fact that we have social media, due to the fact that we have, the internet. There are so many individuals that just gloss over that. But then they move some butterfly effect. Like, it's true. Like, something happens over here at the Pepperidge Farm, goldfish factory. It'll find its way into your world in some capacity. You might not see it in the form of the Pepperidge Farm people, but it may show up. Why? Because that's just what happens. Like, it happens that way. Where are you putting yourself? What sort of endeavors, responsibilities, tasks are you undertaking? Are those a matter of need, a necessity? Are they a matter of you being overly giving? Are they a matter of you being selfish? Think about those positions that you're putting yourself in. Think about not only how it's affecting those outside of you, but especially how it's affecting you. Because when we're not in control of our choices, we tend to go to our little metric and find a little bit of extreme that you dabble in. Some people drink, some people gamble, some people chase individuals, some people shut down, some people, pack things up and go away, some people take a nap, some people, go to the gym. Trying to find something in those core responsibilities that we have in order to sustain our life for a particular moment until you can progress. You got to be able to process that stuff. Got to process that stuff. If not, it builds and builds and builds. And what happens, right? One of the extremes, complete shutdown or complete explosion. That's just, it's natural. There has to be a release. Or maybe instead of being the happy, jovial, engaging, caring, loving individual that you once were, or that you found yourself at a particular point, you become stubborn and bitter, and you criticize, and you be, and you see, and that becomes who you are. And you're like, well, dude, Dunk used to be nice, but he's complaining about everything now. Man, what the hell is going on? Period. Right? Like, you see this in your colleagues. You see this in your acquaintances. You see this in your close personal relationships, friends and family. When people say, oh, reach out and check on someone, see how they're doing. Say, hey, you live? Good? All right, cool, man. Thanks. Bye. No, like, be prepared to have a conversation. Oh, I sent them a text message. They got back to me. It's all good. Is it though? Is it good? Have we gone to that level where, like, I get the thumbs up? I'm like, oh, okay, I guess everything is fine. Or is the thumbs up like, sarcasm? Is the thumbs up like, okay, but you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean? We all interpret things different ways. How are these things affecting you? What are you setting up to be your course correction if X, Y, and Z happens? Are you being open and honest with yourself? What are you really good at? What are you good at? What do you want to be good at? Do you have the ability to go after that? I say, everyone, chase your dreams. Chase your dreams. And at the same time, they're like, you have to understand the context, right? Great quote from Gary Vee. He's like, you want to do this? Yeah. Okay. Well, how much are you willing to give to it? Again, that's that metric for somebody. Somebody's like, yeah, I want to do this. And guess what? 12 hours a day. They're into it, into the thick of it, live it, breathe it, eat it, sleep it. No matter what it is. That's their life. That's their goal. That's their mission. That's their journey. You can't complain that they're doing that. You can't be critical of that. You could be in a position to offer critique because maybe it's affecting other things or affecting relationships or demeanor. Maybe it's affecting personality. Maybe stuff is changing. But maybe those individuals are evolving. I've seen a lot of people who do a lot of like work on themselves, right? A lot of meditation, a lot of help. And they're like, man, like that person completely changed. I don't even know who they are anymore. Like, thank God. Thank God. Like they've evolved. Like, they leveled up, kids. And their relationships are probably better. Their career is probably better. Their daily, day-to-day life is probably better. Why? Because you have to sometimes be able to, take the chaff from the wheat. You just do. I'm not saying you're not bread. It's just you might not be multigrain bread now. Maybe you're a rye bread or something like that, or pumpernickel bread. That's my favorite, right? But you gotta step up. That's a lot of reasons why it's difficult, and we get critical with individuals, especially in sports, especially in entertainment, where it's like, oh, you came from the streets, you came from here, in the sticks, blah blah blah. You should go back and give to your community. Maybe they had a crappy experience in their community coming up. Maybe it wasn't good. Maybe they want to make better with it, and they are encouraged to do that. I think it's something that personally, I think you do. I think you come back and now you have resources. Now you have the ability to actually be the change that you needed. Whether it's received or not, that's the hard part, man. That's the hard part. Like, you can take a horse to water, can't make them drink. You can sit there and open up and share everything with the people around you, close ones. You can share job ideas with, leadership or whatever. But sometimes it just falls on barren soil. It just does. It's not a critique of you. That's not saying that you're not valuable, you're not worthy. It's just saying that at this particular time, or maybe at this moment, or that's not the direction they want to go in. Wrap up for today. I want everyone to have a good afternoon, and we will get back to y'all on Thursday. Hopefully, the Phillies get a series win versus the Red Sox. I know the Red Sox were a hot team coming out of the break. 10 wins in a row, and all the Boston fans that have kind of been like, laying in the bushes for the past couple of years, starting to come out of the bushes again, right? We see you, Boston. We see you. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it going. NFL training camp starts this week. People will be back hitting pads together and maybe those Guardian helmets all over the place. I wish everyone a happy and healthy training camp. Nothing worse than, we're not going to say it because we're not going to jinx it. We're not going to throw it out there in the universe. But as you go through today, everybody, just take a moment, figure out the responsibilities that you've brought into your life, the ones that were your choices, maybe the ones that aren't your choices, why they are there now, while they are existing. Find a way to navigate that. Find a way to make it something that you are giving good energy to, and it's giving good energy back to you. And most importantly, just like get out of your own way. Just get out of your own way. Right? Sometimes we overcomplicate it because we think way too much about it, and it's a really simple answer. I need to stop doing that. I need to do a little more than that. Probably shouldn't have the ice cream and the fried chicken at 10 o'clock at night. Not saying you can't. But you can't complain the next day that you feel a certain way. Right? Come on. Owners of our own choices, destination, responsibilities. Everyone have a great rest of your day today. Got a little overcast outside here in the Northeast. Nice, beautiful day yesterday. Lost on the last hole, round of golf. Uphill, par 4, par 5. I think it was a par 4. Just shanked it. Then I found the sand. And then I hit over the green. And I tried the little French wedgie action over it. Took and it ran. It was a bad final hole. I blame the sun. I blame the Michelob Ultra, perhaps. Wasn't a lot. We're sweating it out. Responsibility, choices. I decided to lay up instead of go after it. Probably should have went after it. Would have been an easier approach shot. But live with that choice. Live with that responsibility. Thought what I should do. Didn't do. Had to recover. Had to compensate. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy the rest of it.